business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time. All right, we are here with week 31 of It's Business Time. We have some very special guests in the house here. International artists, Beyond Borders, Wild Wild East. I mean, so many projects under one tour. Very excited to have Jennifer Janowski here and Christian Pirskanen. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to get into this. You guys have so much going on in the time you're here, April 9th, all the way through May 14th. And we are definitely going to be talking about Huxley and Hero tomorrow, right down the street. Claire, the owner of Huxley and Hero, is actually a previous guest on It's Business Time as well. So shout out to Claire. And then Theater N up the street this Friday, 6 o'clock at Theater N. It's going to be a big event for you guys as well. And Andrew Larison, the director of Theater N, previous Business Time guest too. So we're getting everybody kind of in the mix here. Before we do get rolling, I do always want to give a quick shout out to Stitch House for having us. They are right here on Market Street. They always have 12 beers on tap. They are a small business. Make sure to support your community, support your local businesses as well. And with that, we are rolling. All right, so I don't even know where to begin with you guys. We had such a fun time. The banks of the Susquehanna on Sunday. But I guess, we can actually start with Ed Dornick. So Ed, a very good friend of mine, Aztec Printing, Ed, he met you guys in Europe, and this is kind of where a lot of the journey here began, I should say. Do you mind, why don't we start there with how you guys met Ed and a little bit about like that trek through the Balkans and Ukraine.
Yeah, so shall I start? Yeah. So basically, we met in Poland. So last year, Chris and me, we went for a 3-month backpacking trip for the project Wild Wild East that we're also presenting on this tour. And I just arrived on that day to Poland. Chris was there already. We went to a heavy metal karaoke bar, and Ed was there because he was visiting his son, and we just ran into each other. And as Ed is, he just started talking to us. He was like, so guys, what are you doing here? Like, where are you from? And we were like, yeah, we are from Germany, Finland, and we're heading towards Ukraine. And he's like, oh, like I'm going there on Monday. We're like, yeah, we're going there on Monday too. So let's team up so that we like, we're in a group. So it's like, we knew we were gonna go to like war, country where it's war actually. Yeah. And we're like, okay, the more than better, right?
Yeah, stick together.
Exactly, that's how it started, and I think this week in Ukraine like really bonded us together.
The best thing about this, Ed gave us his business card.
Yeah.
And he was like, we were in a karaoke bar, drunk, and we were planning, okay, let's go to Ukraine day after tomorrow. He gave the business card, and he was like, give me a call when you are going. I was like, okay. The next day, we had a hangover, and I was like, okay, I tried to call Ed. But for some reason, the number didn't work. And I was like, okay, I will send him an email. So I sent him an email like, hey, we are leaving to Ukraine tomorrow at this time on this station. And there he was, waiting for us on that time, on that station.
Yeah, he is an everywhere man for sure. Anything interesting, there's Ed in the corner. And luckily he's tall enough where you can always spot him very easily. So this was the beginning of your journey. It was a casual meeting. He said, here's my business card, and then you guys let him know where you're meeting, and that was it. And we're gonna get a lot to be able to see a lot of that journey in the documentary film you're presenting at Theater N this Friday, Wild Wild East, correct?
So the documentary is Flowers for Hope. That's
Flowers for Hope.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if you want to say something.
So the film documentary is Flowers for Hope, and then at Theater N, though, we're going to get to see all of the Wild Wild East is the photo journal through the Balkans. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then we also have your book to get to as well. Why don't we do this chronologically then? Tomorrow, the Four Seasons of Happiness, yes, you're going to be signing at Huxley and Hero. And then we'll show a little bit. This is where you can check out Jennifer's website and a little bit more on the book. And then Friday is when it all kind of comes together, and this is where we get to see all 3 projects. I suppose 4 in a way, but all 3 projects at Theater N. So to keep things well sorted, we'll start with 4 Seasons of Happiness, your book. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of jump to Theater N and the bigger project, as well as Christian's project. So.
Yeah, so 4 Seasons of Happiness is my book that I published last year in February exactly. It's a book I worked on for 3 years almost. It describes my journey of like getting over a bad relationship and finding my way to happiness. So I lived 1 year in Finland, and the happiest country in the world, supposedly. And I traveled there, and I lived there 1 year, and I worked with people, and I talked to people, I met friends. And this book basically describes this 1 year of traveling through all the seasons of the country, but also traveling through the seasons of finding happiness emotionally.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, you guys are both phenomenal photographers. I really enjoyed, like, as we were putting all this together, going through all the photographs of both of you and the combined photographs, and I actually remember too being like, can you guys actually pick the ones that we present, because they're so like riveting, like they're so emotional. I felt strange not knowing you guys well and picking the promo photos. Okay, so that's tomorrow, or I guess for y'all seeing this now, that's going to be tonight. So Thursday night, the 18th, down at Huxley and Hero, you'll be doing some readings, some book signings, things like that. But the anchor event, the big event here, where we get to see all of what you guys are bringing here to America, that's going to be Friday at Theater N. And then, so Christian, tell us a little bit about the film documentary that you're presenting at Theater N on Friday.
So Flowers for Hope, a travel documentary. It's about our trip to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And on that documentary, you are basically following our way there. And and then you're gonna meet on the way people that we met. There is some interviews. There is like one interview from a soldier, one is from a game designer, and one is from one woman who was working in a cafeteria, a local ones. So basically, like, we are traveling basically to unknown. The only thing that we knew on that moment was the only thing that we saw in the news,
Right.
which was war.
Right.
And so it was kind of journalism point of view why we went there, to actually see what's going on. And on that documentary, you are following our trip through our emotions, through the feelings that and through everything that we saw there, basically. And so it's really authentic documentary. Like, there's nothing script, everything is how it was, and
with no spoilers. It was definitely gripping.
I try not to spoil too much.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a unique kind of slice in time too. From American perspective, right? We saw the beginning of all this. We heard a lot from the news and all that type of stuff, but then new things happen here, new things happen there, and of course, the Middle East situation started to escalate and all that stuff. So it's like, I think a lot of people kind of moved on to the next thing and forget to some extent that this is still happening. This is still very much in the middle of it. My neighbors are actually Ukrainians, and they have hosted, at this point, probably 15 to 20 people who have been fleeing that region, and it's heartbreaking to see kind of the trail of folks who are trying to just find peace amid the war. So Ed is not a stranger to danger, we should say. I've watched him take many journeys into difficult areas to connect with people, to learn about what's really going on. And so this documentary takes you guys through Ukraine, and then after Ukraine, this is when the photojournalism in the Balkans began. Is that correct? Am I getting the timelines right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly like in a film, in a documentary. We are starting from Krakow in
Yeah.
Poland.
Okay.
We are going to Lviv in Ukraine,
Uh-huh.
and from there to Kiev.
Okay, gotcha.
And from Kiev, we are going around the different part of the cities,
Yeah.
different part of Kiev, and then we are going back to Poland. And from that point, is starting the Balkan trip. So
Gotcha. All right, so we're at the end of the trip through Ukraine back to Poland, and then this is where the wild east begins. Yes,
Yeah, so we luckily we had Ed still in Europe. So when we came back from Lviv, because we separated the last few days, he catched us up in Krakow. He had a place to stay, and he was like, "Okay, guys, come here, get your stuff straight, and then start the trip fresh." Because of course we needed a couple of days to like get a rest after this intense week to like clear your head and be like, okay, now a different project starts.
yeah,
So he catched us up, like we were sleeping at his place. He made us food. He made us really feel
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
We had an amazing last night, and then we started
Wow.
from Poland to Slovakia. Yeah,
Got
and then
you.
so on.
While you were talking, Christian, I saw you kind of stare off into space for a moment. What was going through your mind? Were you kind of putting it all together? Were you having what were you thinking about there in that moment?
I was actually going through the Ukraine experiment.
Ah.
Like I was thinking, like, did I say everything that I wanted to say
Yeah.
about the project? And yeah, it was like really intense.
Yeah,
Like when you are going through it again and again, it's like, yeah, there was a crazy things
Yeah.
happened there. And actually, the one thing that I can kind of spoil, if we can go a bit back, like I have this patch which I got from a soldier. This one is not in a documentary, actually, this part, but he gave that patch as a thank you after I got an interview from him. So he took the patch off and gave it to me, like, hey, thank you.
yeah,
And that, for me, it's like really,
yeah,
really meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was going through my head.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of trying to connect some of this to, because this is typically like a small business podcast, but in small business we crisscross with arts and art galleries and people who are telling their story, right? And so oftentimes stories that get told in our area are about people who didn't have opportunities, didn't have the same advantages as others, and and a lot of the art and the business community try and bind together to create those. So this is very much on topic, right? They're going through a lot right now, and I'm not to make it just so cut and dry, but like there is an element of money, right? Without money, they can't defend themselves. Without support, they can't defend themselves. And so, I saw you kind of staring off into space, and I was doing a little bit of that too, where it's like, where you see these things that are happening a world away, and you feel for these people who are suffering and struggling, and it's not really until you either put yourself in there, or in my case, I'm hanging out with my neighbor, and, oh, who's this? Is this your cousin, your nephew? Oh no, this is someone fleeing from, that it really kind of connects it all. And that's one of the things that I love about the arts community, right, is we're trying to find humanity in these nooks and crannies of life that are not always pretty. And I do want to keep these things light while talking about something very, very serious. But you guys, I did get a chance to spend a lot of time with you on Sunday, and I think that you guys are great personalities for this, where you're very thoughtful. There was a couple times when you just kind of can tell that you're drifting off into deep thought, which is important to share art and to bring things to light. You have to be somewhat lighthearted, right? Otherwise, you spend all day crying. But what was that like emotionally to go through that journey and try and capture, including the Balkans and all of that, and try and capture something like a gem that you bring to others, to your countrymen, to Americans, things like that?
So I think our biggest issue in the beginning was we were afraid to do some kind of war porn.
Yeah.
It was something that really took us a while to get comfortable filming people and the streets and like
Yeah.
also going out, going to a restaurant, right? Because you're realizing, okay, you are kind of like a tourist, or you
Yeah.
look like a tourist to people. And we had this one meeting in the bar where people actually came over and they were like, you just came here for cheap alcohol because we are now in war and you can
Right.
afford that. So that really hurt.
Yeah.
But we had the chance to talk to those people. We explained them why we were there. And in the end, they joined us. We had a really nice night. We drank together. We ate together.
Mhm.
So like that really was the breaking point for us, that people accepted us. They
Yeah.
saw that we didn't came just as tourists, but really to like to be with them, to talk with them, to like bring those real stories back home, not only the war
Yeah.
porn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like it's a really sensitive topic in
Yeah.
general. So it's really, really easy to take it to that direction.
Right.
That it's going to the war porn, which is
Right.
not the goal.
Right.
Which is not something that we didn't want to show. We wanted to focus on like regular people,
Mhm.
normal people, civilians, like how they are living in the mid of war,
Mhm.
to bring like their voice up.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I think we did good job with that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a lot, you know, it's a lot. I don't have really any experience in that space trying to bring a light to someone else's tragedy in a way that is meaningful but doesn't exploit them. I'm very, very excited to see all of this under one roof. You know, of course, you know, I've seen a lot of like the stuff in our Google Drive and seen the films and the photos and all that stuff, but you know, Theater N is going to be very, very cool because cool's maybe not the right word, but very meaningful, right? Because we'll be able to see this whole vision all under one roof. And so this is a fine time to mention again, Theater N, this Friday, 6 o'clock. We're going to get to see all three of these art projects from Jennifer and Christian. It's going to be very, very special. I'm also going to put the whole calendar. So you guys are at Chester Rivertown Arts. You guys are at Delaware Contemporary. You're all over at Longwood Gardens, all over the place in the next couple weeks. So rather than rack our memories and try and remember each one, we're just going to take a minute and show the calendar. If you're unable to catch them at Theater N on Friday, make sure to catch them at one of these other locations. Tick, tick, right? You know, allow enough time for people to see that. And then, of course, too, if you're unable to catch them while they're here in the States, make sure to visit their websites. So we're going to put Jennifer right up here, your website. And then Christian as well. This is the commercial portion of the show, you know. It's like for a video medium, it's nice for people to be able to stop, hit pause, and punch it in. But yeah, it's been so fun to get to know you guys. You know, so much more, right? You're here for quite a while. But in short, anyone that Ed endorses is an instant friend of mine. But I'm very, very excited to see the event, to see all the exhibits under one roof this Friday. And, you know, I have a million questions for you guys about the journey, about, like, what got you into art in the first place, what it's like, you know, putting together a tour like this from your side, right? You know, you have your lives, you have your things going on, and then being like, oh, my gosh, soon we're going to be running all over America with one of the craziest people we've ever met. So, yeah, let's end with a little bit, something a little lighter. You know, what have you thought of? Is this your first time, both of you, to America?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Wow. So this is where, you know, Americans, we love to hear about our country from the perspective of others. What have you thought about your journey so far? What have been some of your favorite parts so far?
Like for now, I think we both agree the people
Yeah.
are like our favorite part. Definitely, we are surprised how friendly everyone is. Like
That's a very diplomatic answer.
really, it's amazing that you get
That's
greeted on the
awesome.
street, in cafes, everywhere. I was just outside standing with Chrisu and preparing myself for the interview, and I was like, oh my God, my hair looks really weird today. And the woman was just passing, and she was like, girl, you look amazing. I was like, what? That would never happen to me in Germany, and
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
uplifted me. Like
Oh,
we
that's
need that more
wonderful.
in like
Yeah.
Germany, definitely.
Especially in Finland, because we barely even greet our neighbors or anyone. Like, we try to avoid any contact
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Finland. So it's actually really uplifting. Like, damn, someone is actually interested.
Yeah.
Like, how I'm doing and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So that's for sure.
The people, yeah, that's a great answer, and you know, that is one thing. You know, I travel as well, and one thing I really do love about this country is people are always seeking a connection. They're always looking to try and, you know, learn a little bit more about a culture or a group that they're not as familiar with. I mean, I grew up right in this area, and I still, to this day, I'll run into people who grew up in this area, but their life experience is so incredibly different than my own. And we have a good time kind of sharing the stories. Oh, you did this in this area of town. I didn't even know about that. And so the connections are very, very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining the series. You know, I'm going to run home after this, get it all edited up here so that people can enjoy this before they Thursday and Friday. Sorry.
Should we talk a bit more about the Wild Wild East project, about the
Yeah, please.
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We have all the time.
because
in the world.
actually that's we didn't say so much about that.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up like quite short.
Quite
Please.
short.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to preface it very briefly is this Friday you're going to get a chance to see Jennifer's book, Christian's documentary, and then their joint project, The Wild Wild East.
And the Wild Wild East is mostly about Balkans, and we were traveling 3 months backpacking through 12 different countries.
I think 11.
11. Yeah, 11 different countries. So basically we started in Ukraine and we ended up to Kosovo.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We made like a small circle, so
Yeah.
like Ukraine is not included in the Wild Wild East because it's of course a different situation right now. So from
Right.
Poland, we made like a half circle up to the coast of Albania, Montenegro, and then to Kosovo. So like,
Got
Yep.
you.
Yeah, so basically we traveled, wait a minute, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, Albania, Montenegro, and Kosovo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all these countries, like, there is really amazing stories that we
Yeah.
got. There is like, you wanna mention some of those?
I would like to, but I think we are running a bit short on time. So what I
No,
would
yeah,
say,
tell a story or two. No, this
tell us
is your
stories.
platform.
Okay, so like, for example, we had one story in Bulgaria which was really surprising. We booked a hostel and we are arriving there, jumping out of the bus, walking towards it, and it looks a bit weird. Like we're like, okay, there should be like a building here, right? There's just like a door, so we are opening this like door and fence, and we are getting in, and the hosts are greeting us and like, hey, hi, blah blah blah. Like, did you get our email? We're like, no. They're like, yeah, our hostel burned half down.
Oh my goodness.
So they were like, if you want, we can refund you. You can go somewhere else. We were like, no, like, do you still have rooms? They were like, yeah, we have rooms, but there might be some burning marks or whatever. So do you
Wow.
want to stay? And we're like, yeah, we're going to stay. And we ended up like volunteering, helping them to rebuild
Oh
because
my
it was
goodness.
built by volunteers in the first place. So they didn't
Wow.
had any money to like rebuild it from that. So they did it by
Wow.
themselves. So that was one fun story, for example, like fun. It's not fun, obviously,
Right,
but
right.
really interesting. So you get to
Right.
know people very intense because you
Right.
are stuck in this situation and you don't want to leave, you want to help. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
really intense, definitely.
That was unfortunately from that we don't have photos in this exhibition, but it's gonna be in a book,
Yeah.
which is coming at the end of this year, Wild
Yeah.
Wild East. So we're gonna publish a photo book
Yeah.
out of this trip, and I would I would like to share one story. It was in North Macedonia.
I know which one you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of cool. Okay, Jenny was like staying in a hostel, and I decided to go for a hike. So I hiked up on this one mountain in Skopje, the capital of North Macedonia. And on the way back, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a bit chill walk in a park that I saw there. And then I heard some music, like drums and how you call this, flute or something like that. And I was like, oh, this sounds good, let's go there. And then I found out that there is a big group of people, and there is the oldest man in this group is sitting on a grass or some kind of carpet,
Yeah.
and the people are playing music to him. And I was okay, this is something interesting. So I started photographing,
Right.
and then this one guy came to me and asked like, hey, why you are taking photos?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, this is interesting. Like, so what's going on? And he was like, oh yeah, this is a family reunion.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, this is my brother, 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 this is my brother. I was like, what? And then the other guy, one of those brothers, came
Right.
and said, yeah, we are actually mafia. I was like,
Oh my goodness.
wait a minute, what? And they, yeah, we are Gypsy Mafia in North Macedonia. So, okay. And he was like, yeah, this old man,
Uh-huh.
he's the president of the family. So they
Wow.
are honoring him with the
Right.
music and stuff
Yeah,
like
the
that.
Godfather.
Yeah, the Godfather kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, damn, this is so intense. Like,
Right.
so I decided to buy a beer and join with them for a while
Right.
to drink and take some photos. Yeah, that was insane. Like
Yeah.
to meet
man.
that kind of like group.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna come across when traveling. That's wild. So are a lot of the stories on this journey, were you guys like uploading stuff as you went, or did you kind of like store a lot of it and then you're putting it all together? Like, is this on some of your socials and things like that?
Yeah, I think like what we did, we had this like Instagram live, and I
Okay.
think all of them are in reels in our Instagram stories. So it's something where we were doing that we were like updating people where we are, what we have been
Yeah.
doing. The pictures from the books, they are not anywhere yet because we are still editing it. So like Christus said, it's going to be in the end of the year. This exhibition tour now is going to be the first teaser kind of to see the first. So you're going to see the first pictures from this book. They're
Right.
going to be there in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let me make sure too to give your Instagrams. So we have Christian, Bink, and Jennifer, Bonk. In post, I'll put them above your head.
Nice.
But yeah, that's a great way, I guess, to follow you guys, to kind of, as you release things, as you kind of go on more journeys, of course. You still have quite a journey ahead of you.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and in the future, because actually I made a whole travel documentary out of our trip.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be like 5 episodes.
Okay.
They are still like work in progress.
Yeah.
How you progress?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's gonna take a while, but I hope that on this year I'm gonna publish all of those stories and our trips on YouTube on this year.
Yeah.
So from there, like you can find it on my Instagram
Awesome.
when I'm
Awesome.
updating.
Well, yeah, definitely follow along. I can tell a lot more to come. We are going to try and make this an annual thing, too. We got to get you guys over here,
That would be crazy.
if not
yeah, I
every
would
year, every other year. America's so big, there's so much to explore.
I mean,
Sounds good. Well, guys, thank you again so much for joining this series. I really appreciate you coming through.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having
Kiitos
us.
paljon in
Yeah.
Finnish.
Now, remember, catch them tonight at Huxley and Hero. That's Thursday the 18th. And then the whole event, where you can see all 3 exhibits under one roof, is going to be Friday at Theater N. That's Friday the 19th. The 19th at 6 p.m. Thank you guys again for joining us. That does it for week 31 of It's Business Time with Christian and Jennifer. And we will see y'all next time.
It's business.